guys, welcome back to my channel. We have a special guest today.
Hello.
All right, then. This is James. If you guys have never seen him in a video before, he lives with me. He just one day he showed up and needed a place, and I was like, hey, no, I'm just kidding. We're actually married, but it's weird to say this is my husband. So this is my James. This is my tax man. That does sound better, actually. I would prefer to just be like, this is my James, than to be like, this is my husband. It makes us sound like old or something. I don't know. I mean, I guess technically we are getting up there, you know, being 30 and all. Anyway, so he's in this video because we're talking about the financial side of running a planner sticker shop, and he helps me with pretty much all the behind the scenes of my shop. But definitely when it comes to like taxes and money stuff, because I stress out a lot when it comes to money. And so it's nice to have that extra person to be like, you need to calm down, you know? So that is why I was like, hey, you should be in this video and help me give advice to people. And, you know, I want to be able to answer your questions as best I can. But since I don't do taxes, like he does all of that, I figured it was best to have him in this video. Also, you may notice that we're in a different location than normal. And there's probably like something weird back behind me because there's a green screen right now. Yes, I am spilling all of your secrets. And
I have
so
this awesome studio and you're just ruining it all.
So that's why there's this weird background. It's not like gonna be a new thing. It's just that we have to film this at like 7, 8 o'clock at night and it's dark. And so I needed the studio lights, and it was just easier to film it in here because they were already set up, because this is where James films his videos for his podcast show. Link down below.
Yeah, that's my job. And then you're supposed to, why do you always do that?
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you already did. It's okay.
Okay. Oh, and the last thing I'm going to say, hopefully the last thing, is we have a tiny dog that wants our attention. And she's in here walking around. So if you hear her, that is what's going on. She keeps bringing her toys and she's crazy. Everything that I'm going to say to you today is stuff that like I do, what works for us. But you should always be doing your own research. Okay. Like watch this video, take stuff from it. That's great. But always, always, always do your own research, because things are different from state to state. So like as far as taxes and, you know, if you have to be registered or whatever, it's all different. So make sure that you're doing your research. And I think watching these videos, that's great. That's a great way to start research, but also like do more research. Just don't take somebody on the internet saying something and be like, yeah, that's it. That's all I need to know, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like we're going to tell you what we do and what works for us and answer your questions as best we can. But also neither one of us is like a tax professional. So like, you know, we don't know all the intricacies of your states necessarily.
We also just don't know everything. All right, so let's get into the actual questions that you guys had for me. So tax forms, what do they need to know about tax forms?
So tax forms depends on how your business is structured. Yours, for instance, is a doing business as, which is basically a sole proprietorship with a business name registered to instead of just using your name. So we do a Schedule C, which basically you file your normal tax form, and then along with it, you do what forms called a Schedule C, and you just lay out all your income and all your business expenses. And then at the end, it tells you how much taxes you owe.
Yep.
It's pretty simple.
So yeah, that's really what you need to know about tax forms.
If you're an LLC, it's actually the same form.
Well, there you go.
Unless you're set up as an S Corp, but then that's basically like an incorporation, and that's super complicated.
That's a whole other situation. You probably won't be doing that.
You'll probably be a sole proprietorship or an LLC.
Right. Yeah. Next question that I got was, do we do our own taxes? Yes. Well, James does it. I take all of my receipts and everything, and throughout the year, I will put it in QuickBooks to kind of see where I'm at, how much I'm spending, how much I'm making. But when it's actually time to do all that, like tax stuff, I send it over to him because I get very stressed out by money and everything. And so I can't even watch him do taxes, because if I see like anything, I'm like, oh my gosh. And so he tells me. It'll be
like, we owe $1. And she's like, it's the end of the world.
So as far as tax write-offs go, pretty much like your supplies, your machines, your equipment that you use to make stickers, you can write that off. I know you can write off like your space if it's just like that. The only thing you do in there is like working and it's like closed off. So it's not like in our old apartment, my office was the dining room, which was kind of like connected to the kitchen and the living room. So it wasn't like its own room.
Yeah, basically, if you work from your home, you can write off your workspace as long as it's like a dedicated like room. You can write off the square foot of that room on your taxes. You want to make sure that it's a very obvious dedicated space, because if you do get audited, they will come and check. And if it's not, they'll be like, well, you can't write this off. And that'll not be, I mean, I don't know exactly how extreme they are with the penalty for that, but like, you just want to make sure it's like a very obvious, like, this is where I work.
Yeah. All right. What percentage do you set aside for taxes? What did you say, 25%?
Yeah, a good rule of thumb, especially when you're starting out, is to just set aside 25% of whatever you bring in, set aside in a separate account somewhere for taxes. It's pretty likely your first couple of years you won't need any of that for taxes, because you'll probably operate at a loss or break even your first year. But 25% is a good starting point. After you start making a certain amount of money in a year, you will have to start paying quarterly taxes. So then you'll definitely want that money set aside. But your first year, you don't have to do quarterly taxes no matter how much you make. So you don't have to worry about your first year.
Yeah. All right. So how do I track like all of my taxes? I kind of answered this earlier, but I do everything in QuickBooks, and there's a really cool feature if you're on Etsy. And I think Shopify also, but they don't merge together. And I'll explain that in a minute. But you can have QuickBooks connected to your Etsy. And so it like automatically pulls information from Etsy, such as like your fees, your like shipping labels, all of that mess that like you don't want to have to go back and like re-enter. It like pulls it all for you. So that's really nice. And so you can kind of see like where you are for the month and, you know, how many fees you have and like whatever. And
and it'll mark the categories for you. So it'll like mark that this was a sell, this is a trend, this is like a fee, this is shipping. So that way at the end of the year when you break all that down, you can see what you spent where.
And then I like take my receipts and I will plug it in there. I recommend doing it like once a week or once a month. Just don't wait till the end of the year.
At minimum, you definitely want to do it once a month, because otherwise at the end of the year, it's going to just be a headache.
It's going to be a pain.
I would recommend doing it once a week. But, you know, I
mean, definitely, I feel like once a month, just so you're aware of like where you're at. Like, are your prices where they need to be? You know, are you making money? Are you losing money? All of that you can kind of figure out by like putting your receipts in and looking at QuickBooks. And so I think that's really important. So that way you're in the know of what's going on in your business. But yeah, I highly recommend QuickBooks. It's been really nice to have and just log in and see where I'm at for the month.
Yeah. If you're going to pay for anything for your business month to month, I would say QuickBooks is the first thing you should probably do.
Yeah. All right. So that pretty much breaks down all the tax questions that I had that you guys asked me. If you guys have any other questions about it, leave it in the comments below and we'll try to answer those. But that's pretty much...
We'll do a tax remix.
But that's pretty much it as far as taxes go. I feel like taxes is just one of those things, like it's all depending on where you live and all of that. Now we're going to move into the actual
finances.
The actual like finance side of your business, such as startup costs, how to price your products, all of that, because I know you guys have been asking those questions as well. So the first question that I get a lot, and I actually have answered this in another video, but I'll answer it again for you guys if you guys are new and haven't seen those videos. But startup cost, like what was my startup cost, all of that. But I would definitely say if you're wanting to start a sticker shop, be prepared to invest a little bit of money. And by a little bit, I mean, you know, a couple $100 at least, because your machines, depending on which Silhouette machine or Cricut machine you get, I think that the cheapest one that Silhouette has is maybe like 100. Well, you can find it for 100, like on Amazon sometimes, to like 150, I think. But the one that I have was like, what, 250?
Yeah, but they go on sale for 200 pretty often.
Yeah, so I mean, somewhere in that ballpark. And then a printer. I know some people have gotten a printer for like $70. I think mine was like $250. It depends. here's the thing. I can't give you like an exact number because it really depends on which things you choose. So like for me, I chose the more expensive of the silhouette machines, but you might choose the smaller one that's a little bit better, cheaper option.
Yeah, I think as far as the silhouettes are concerned, that's really more a matter of what kind of options you want to have to be able to do outside of cutting paper.
Yeah, but your printer...
The printer, I would invest as much as you can up front.
Yeah, I mean, the printer is kind of like an important piece. So like mine was like $250. And I still, it's going to sound crazy if you're a shop owner, I'm still using that same printer 4 years later. And I say that and I hope it doesn't break tomorrow, but it's been a good printer to me. Like it's made it through a lot. So it was a well spent $250.
It was. And I think that's probably a good price range to start. Get one that does good photo quality. You don't need to worry about if it does good like faxes and scans. You want something that does good photo, good color correct, good like color accuracy.
Yeah. So I really recommend Canon printers. That's what I've been using. I've tried an Epson printer, which had amazing quality, but the ink was like an arm and a leg.
Epson thinks their ink is made of gold.
And but it did have like the most amazing quality. But I do have an Amazon shop. Shameless plug here.
And you said we were making no money tonight.
I do have an Amazon shop where I have like put the different stuff that I've tried. I've researched stuff that I'm considering. Like there's printers in there that I haven't used, but I'm actually considering going to that printer. Cause like I said, my printer is 4 years old and I'm just like, it's gonna die one day.
Time to have a backup at least.
Yeah. So anyway, you can check that out. And I have like the silhouette machines in there also. So anything
like
that
the cutter blades.
Yeah,
in there and all
I've had, and then I think I have the mats. So I have a bunch of stuff in my Amazon shop, so you can check it out.
You can go in there, add it all to your cart, and see how much it's going to cost.
Yeah, so you can get an idea from that.
Otherwise, on Etsy, there's not any startup fees until you start listing.
Yeah, you have listing fees, but
if you go through like, oh, is that coming up?
Yeah, I'm gonna get into the Etsy fees in a minute.
Whoa, slow your roll.
Just calm down. All right, so that's pretty much as far as like machines and stuff. That's what I would say. So
you got to buy like paper and
maybe
stuff,
like $500. Would you say?
Depending the minimum is probably going to be $500.
Yeah, depending on which like silhouette or Cricut machine you get and which printer and paper and all of that. Also, if you want to know about like paper and supplies and stuff, I have another video on that, so you can check that out. How long? Why am I doing this hand thing? I'm so awkward.
Action!
How long did it take me to start making money? So I'm going to say this, and I want you to keep in mind that it's very different than when I started 4 years ago. So I made money the first day I put stuff up, but I can't say for sure if you put stickers up today, you're going to make money right now, because it is very different and it's a lot harder to get your name out there. It's not impossible, so don't let that keep you from starting a shop.
On one hand, it's a lot harder, but on the other hand, it's a lot easier than it was 4 years ago.
It's true, but a lot has changed. Like Etsy has changed. There's a lot more, like there's a ton of shops now, which that's not a bad thing. And like, don't let that scare you. I'm just saying when I started, there wasn't as many. Like I kind of got into it right at like before the craziness hit. So I started in May of 2015, and it was like kind of right there at the very beginning of when this kind of took off. And so there, like, it just wasn't really a thing like it is now. So I don't want to be like, oh, I made X amount of dollars my first day and like have you expect to make that, because your experience is going to be very different from mine. Like everybody's experience with this is going to be different. So you can't really say, well, how much can I make on stickers? Because you can't really give an answer to that. There's not really a limit to how much you can make, but like, I can't say, oh, you're going to expect to make $10,000 a month making stickers. Some shops do that. Not all of them. So like,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think you should expect to work hard and be happy.
Yeah. So for me, it took me a day to start earning money.
I guess, what do they mean by making money? Like making a profit or just making a sale? You know what I mean?
think they meant like how long did it take you to start selling stuff? So it took me a day. Making a profit, we'd have to go back and look at all that mess. But But as far as like selling my product, I had an order like within an hour or two when I posted it. So, all right, Etsy fees. Etsy has a lot of fees. You may have noticed a lot of shops have their own website. That is because Etsy has a lot of fees, and running your own website is a little bit cheaper. So Etsy has a listing fee of 20 cents. There's a relisting fee whenever people purchase that item. There's a shipping fee now. There's a transaction fee. I feel like there's some other fee. I don't know. There's a whole, you can research it. There's a bunch of fees on Etsy. And so when you're pricing your product, you need to consider that in your pricing. And then I think somebody asked about shipping. So the customer pays the Etsy shop for shipping, or the Etsy shop owner, not Etsy. But then we turn around and pay Etsy for the shipping label. So what you see for shipping, actually the shop owner is not really making any money off of that because it's all going back into buying that shipping label through Etsy. So hopefully that makes sense and that answers your question about that. Okay. The last thing that I'm going to talk about in this video is how I determine how to price my stickers. So I know that this is a big question, like how do you figure out how much to sell your stickers for? So here's how I did it. And it's not necessarily the best method, I guess, but I looked at everything. I looked at like what other shops were charging. I looked at like the different materials and whatever, but I also said, look, I want to sell my stickers for this price. So I think when I started, I was like selling it $3 a sheet or something. And I was like, I want to sell it for this. So I started selling that. And then we had to reevaluate like with all of my supplies and everything, if I was actually making money off of that or if I needed to raise my price a little bit. So that's kind of how I determine how to set my prices. Now, sometimes I have to raise them. Sometimes I'm able to cut costs a little bit if I change, where I get my ink but there's a lot of different factors. So we actually made a spreadsheet so we could break it down and know like whatever. He made a spreadsheet.
You're going to break it down.
I don't know why. I don't know why I said I did, because I was just like, I'm just going to sell my stickers for this. And like, it's fine. And James is like, whoa. We need to make sure you're actually making money. So that is it for the financial side of running a planner sticker shop. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you learned a little bit more and it helped you kind of think about some things and, just set you in the right path if you're wanting to run a sticker shop. So
yep.
Yeah, but next week, we're going to talk about the different platforms that you can sell on and which ones we recommend. Really, I can only talk about Etsy and Shopify because that's all I have experience in. But you said
Yeah, I can. I haven't used all the other platforms, but I can kind of give you an overview of them. Yeah.
So if you have any questions about that, leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe if you guys want to see more Etsy content. And if you hit the bell notification, you'll be notified when I upload so you won't miss an upload.
And if you hit the thumbs up, it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool if you hit the thumbs up. But that wraps up today's video. We hope you enjoyed, and both of us will see you next week for another planner sticker shop video.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I've been feeling so small. Watch the clock ticking off the wall.